Hey everyone, welcome to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Christian Bacassa, and the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast aims to bring the best stories and tips. Stories and tips from those that truly make an impact within the sport of fly fishing. I'll dig into the past, present, and future of our guests, uncovering their amazing story and journey. Join me each week as I interview a new guest from somewhere around the globe. If you're not yet a subscriber, help by subscribing now so I can attract the most influential guests and sponsors to the podcast. Let's make this the top fly fishing specific podcast available. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. We appreciate you joining us today. We've got a great guest, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. That gives us a great opportunity to get the each and every show out to you as quickly as possible, and to attract more and more sponsors and guest speakers, etc. Today's show, we got Joeseph Zaragoza on the call. Joeseph is with Salt Junkies, Inc., and a few other groups, Magbay Lures and Magbay Lodge. Joeseph is a friend of mine. We've met through social media as well. I believe it was on Facebook, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really want to kind of dive into some of the things you've been doing as of late, especially some of that saltwater stuff. Sounds really awesome. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about this most recent trip you had out west doing some trout fishing?
Oh, well, this is my second year down to Southwest Colorado, and Southwest is a vast place, but this particular place is butted up New Mexico, right against Colorado, Antonito area. You got Alamosa, is a big town close by, about 40 minutes away, and then Chama, New Mexico is right down the way as well. And we've been I rented a cabin last year in hopes of finding some property down there, and with no luck, we started looking around more. I was intrigued by the fact that people were trying to sell cheap lots next to Rio Grande, not knowing that part of the Rio Grande is just full of carp and crap water. So we started driving around a bit and fishing more places, and we ended up finding that little town, Antonito, and right down the way is a fly shop by the name of Conejos Rivers Anglers, and they told us a little bit about the area. So
Okay.
we chased it up, and we found the Conejos River and all the tributaries around there, Rio de los Pinos, and a couple other ones. Man, we had a blast. It's the Wild West. I mean, there's nothing out there. There's houses far apart, spread apart, and plenty of water to cover. There's never enough time to fish it all.
Right on. It sounds like a great remote place to go to. What kind of fish were you targeting while you were there?
We were brown trout, rainbow trout, and I looked for cutthroat, but no luck.
Not too many, huh?
I didn't hook any or land any. So
Okay. And then is it smaller water? Give us a little description of what the waters are like, and let's go from there.
well, this year it was not as good as the previous year. The runoff was a little bit higher, and the river was moving pretty fast. But we did what we could, and the waters are nice. They're not the Conejos River is pretty wide, and the other ones are small, a little bit smaller. But like I said, when they get pumping, it makes it hard.
Yeah.
Basically dredging the bottom with the heaviest lines we got, and streamers that are weighted.
Is it primarily streamer fishing that you were doing while you were there?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we did on the slower parts. Of course, we had indicators out, but for the most part, yeah, it was swinging across the whole river trying to strip something up. And I got some nice browns, and we caught a couple other rainbows that were of good size. And but the most important thing of this was I got my fiance fly fishing with me for the first time. So
very
it was
cool.
awesome.
Very cool. It's always nice when you can get your partner or your spouse involved in your extracurricular activities. Did she? What was her takeaway kind of from it? If she shared some comments with you, I'm sure.
Oh, I mean, she's in love with it. She says that she's enjoying it better than conventional fishing. It's a little bit more technical and a little more, how could I say? Um, what I explain to people is like it's like you and the rod and the line in your hands. It's a different feeling than the drag doing a little bit of the work, most of the work
Yeah.
on a spin rod or however you're fishing for them.
Yeah, it's
Whether it be
a little more engaging, a little more cerebral is the way I would kind of
yeah
describe it. That's
yeah
great. Very cool. And she got into some pretty good fish, I assume.
yeah. So I took her for training day. I took her to the reservoir, right, and she had a blast,
Yeah.
man. Just getting her to swing, to set the hook and stuff and practice. And then we took her to the streams and the rivers the next day, and she did good. She landed some fish and she actually caught quite a bit. And I just sat back and took a lot of pictures. So I was stoked, man.
Yeah, good on you, man. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Well, let's take a little bit of a jump here. Your specialty is really in saltwater, and I know you have some pretty big passions in the saltwater arena. Your charter services the area of Magbay. I have not yet had a chance to come out and visit. We've talked about it several times, but it just hasn't turned out. I can't wait to get out there and fish with you. But you've got quite a bit of involvement. You've got, of course, Salt Junkies Inc., which is the charter service, but then your business partner, Toby, and you also have Magbay Lures, and then you have the Magbay Lodge. Can you give us a description of what your services are and, how you're managing that business? And then let's talk about how you got into that business.
Yeah. So it started. I mean, I moved to San Diego first. That's how it started, really. I moved to San Diego like in 2012, and
where from?
I had from Bakersfield, from Central Valley.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's where the trout came in, right? We grew up fishing trout in the river,
right on,
and stuff. So when I went to San Diego, it was like, okay, I'm gonna focus my time on just I want to get to know the water and stuff, and I want to do stuff that I wasn't able to, basically stuff that I couldn't afford when I was younger, or trips like that and whatnot. So I moved down there and I started going out on half-day trips, 3/4-day trips, and that evolved into 1.5 day, 2.5 day, 3.5 days, so on. And I started like really, really enjoying it, man. And I got reached out. I had an offer to help with charter, to set up charters, right? And I took the chance. I was like, that's kind of intimidating because who's gonna, I was young. I was about 26 at the time, and nobody knew me, and I was new to the area, but I was driven, man. I did what I could, and people entrusted me, and I had a bunch of charters under my belt, and from there it just got like, oh man, there's a lot of people on these boats. I want to try something else, and I started going across the border because when we were younger, my dad used to take us to Ensenada for 2 weeks at a time, and we had a blast there. Growing up as kids, our upbringing was good, and that was our little vacation once a year. So I went back. I guess you could say went back to our roots, and I headed down that way, and we had a bunch of good yellowtail fishing down there.
Okay.
I'm talking about 28 days, over 30 pounds.
Wow.
Big fish. I mean, this is all on long rods too. 9 foot. But this is gear, of course. But
yep.
9 foot jig sticks. Yeah, 9 foot jig sticks and all that good stuff, and fast retrieval. So we had a blast doing that, man. And I got curious. I said, hey, if it's this good in Ensenada, like now, I want to try other places too. I just wanted to go around and hop from town to town kind of deal. And I ended up with the Sprinter van. And I started doing that. We would go into San Quintin, Bay of LA, and ultimately ended up, we did a couple trips down there, and the same thing too, curiosity. I want to try this, and the final time that I grabbed a dart and threw it at the board and landed on Magbay, and that's how we ended up in Magbay.
Okay.
Contacted Toby. At the time, Toby was working with another guy, and we were talking about a trip, and I told him, hey, I put charters together in San Diego and Ensenada. I have a boat down there, and I want to venture down that way, but I want to go from my biggest thing was supporting locals, right? Like booking from within the town.
Okay.
So that's how we contact the ones that were in the town, opposed to driving down on a boat from San Diego. Because, I mean, that's I just think that that's the way it should be. It's like hiring a local guide rather than outsourcing. So we went down, and man, I'll tell you, Christian, some of the best damn fishing I've ever experienced. We had a lot of marlin, a lot of tuna, dorado, wahoo, like just everything, And mind you, I was still not fly fishing yet, right? And I happened to come across, that's where the part where Jeff comes into play, Jeff Fesco.
Okay.
You can find him on Instagram as To the Gills, and he was our deckhand on the boat.
Okay.
So I'm watching Jeff swing these flies around and get a little tuna and stuff, and I said, man, that looks like fun, I mean, I've always been intrigued by fly fishing, just never grew up the courage to try it or anything like that. So
there's a level of mentorship there too, right? I mean, it's like
yeah. I mean, if
there's some unknown, it is different than throwing conventional gear for sure.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and the end of it, I mean, it's our long rods on conventional was the same length of the fly rods. Yeah. This is a different strokes, different wrist movement.
Yeah. Can't cast as far, can't cover as much water, kind of thing.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I gotta try it, And he sold me a little beginner setup, and I was messing around with it, and then later on, I was back in San Diego, and I was working on a boat, and I meet this guy. He was a customer, and he was having a hard time casting on conventional gear, right? Because we were going offshore for yellowtail.
Okay.
And I noticed that he had a Belize fly fishing shirt on for a fishing lodge down there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, and I started asking him a million questions about fly fishing because I wanted to know. I'm trying to soak up all this information aside from, doing research on the internet and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'll tell you what, if you show me how to cast, he says, if you show me how to cast conventional gear, I'll show you how to cast a fly rod. And I said, okay, that works.
Sounds like a deal to me.
Yeah. So he actually took the time, man. We went to the park and he showed me and then I hit up Jeff and we started, he started helping me out too. And that's how I started. And I started in the ocean, not in the river.
That's really cool. That is really cool. So you were heading down there, and when you would run out of Magbay and locally, you were using other people's boats or renting boats, and were they running as captain, and you were kind of running as the per se guide on the boat, really assisting clients?
The local pangeros are the ones we use, right? Okay. So we're basically offering assistance to them, and at the same time, I'm trying to show them, I want them to learn too. So I wouldn't have to be on the boat, or we wouldn't have to, like we could send them out by themselves.
Yeah.
And so we're not there yet. There's still a lot. Me and Jeff are working on that.
Okay, so you're acting as the guides then on the boat. And did I hear you say you're what kind of boats are you running? You're running Pangas or something like that?
Yeah, 28-foot Pangas.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty cool. So then the bay is, I would assume, I have never been to Magbay. Can you kind of describe that? Is the water relatively flat in that area? Is it?
There's about a 15 to 20 foot tidal influx, so it gets low, it gets shallow.
Okay.
There's just one main channel, and you gotta know that channel, or else you'll be on sand.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, you'll be stuck on the sand, and there's 3 inlets to the bay up at the top, in the town north of Lopez Mateos, and then down where we're at, there's two outlets. The main channel, and then there's one on a far like a beach spit on the south end.
Okay.
And yeah, so So that bay is, I think, almost as big as San Francisco Bay,
Okay.
and and on top of that, there's like, I want to say 60 miles of mangroves to get to the next opening.
So those mangroves are probably great food sources, right? There's tons of bait fish in there. There's coverage, hiding places for these fish, et cetera. Um, that's got to bring some really unique species into the area. What's the main species that you're targeting down there?
So that's where the marlin come in.
Okay.
Uh, this sardina come out of the bay, and right by the islands, close to like, shoot, sometimes 8 miles out of the mouth, 5 miles, and you got these marlin, striped marlin,
Mm-hmm.
traveling from all over the, like, Pacific Ocean to come down here.
Mm-hmm.
And when I explain people, a better explanation is, you could see the videos on our Instagram or YouTube, or an even better example of that was our buddies. They go by the Gringos Locos.
Mm-hmm.
They had a production company go down there and shoot a film this last year on the IFT film reel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's called Baja Line, so you can check that out. And man, like, me explaining it it's better seeing it on the video. 20 fish per bait ball,
Wow.
15 fish, just charging on these bait balls, and these are bait balls, shit, football field long.
Yeah.
It's
Massive.
crazy, and that's how, Sorry, that goes back in time into when I got to Magbay the first time. We were fishing gear, trolling,
Mm-hmm.
and we had been fishing this high spot for wahoo, and we come into this other area, like closer to the mouth of the Magbay, and out of nowhere, man, I see these damn marlin all over the place, and I've heard about it, but seeing it in person is a whole different thing, and it was like a damn marlin rodeo
Yeah.
out there,
Yeah.
and
I mean, because the traditional way to fish for marlin on the fly, that I've seen is you dredge a hookless squid of some sort, right?
yeah,
And then you get them on the squid. Boom, they're on the squid. And for those of you guys that don't know the scenario, dredging, you just imagine some like outriggers on your boat. You got like 5 or 6 squid or more. There's no hook on them, and you're kind of just tailing them off the boat like you're trolling. The marlin will come up and they'll start striking those squid. And then what you do is you crank those squid in as close to the boat as you can, and then you start casting to the fish, and they'll come off the squid and attack your fly, essentially.
yep, old bait and switch.
Yep, the old bait and switch. But you guys,
Yeah.
It sounds like you're truly sight casting to fish feeding on bait balls.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of people ask me, and I tell them, and they said, "No way." I said, "Come see it for yourself." That's, what, I can tell you what I want, send you all the pictures in the world, but you need to come and see this for yourself.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
super unique.
It's wild, man. I mean, we're catching them on deceivers, poppers. They're highly active, right? They're slashing at the bait,
Mm-hmm.
and they get all lit up, all iridescent purple, and they come you get that fly right across their face, and they're charging at it. It's crazy, and that's happening with these bait balls. Bring Dorado and wahoo to the pictures and everything. Like, it's just a massive feeding frenzy out there.
All right, well, I'll be down here shortly to visit. That's for sure. You got me super
Yeah,
pumped out.
yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I can't wait. Cannot wait. That's awesome. I bet a lot of people can relate to that. For example, if you're striper fishing, a lot of times you're fishing like that, right? Get them on a bait ball where they're feeding. I've had that experience with tarpon myself, but to hear that on marlin, it's not all that common. So this is great stuff, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So do me a favor. You talked a little bit about Fezco.
Okay.
Tell me a little
So,
bit
yeah.
there. It sounds like he was a bit of a mentor of yours in the fly fishing side.
Yeah, Jeff is awesome, man. I mean, shit, he I think last year he got done with Alphonse Company out there in Africa.
Yep.
And he's in Alaska now. Well, I'm not going to meet him because he's too far, but he guides in Alaska during the summer months, and then he goes typically down to down to East Cape where he has a place he hangs out at. And then I call him over in November. He comes over to Magbay and helps me out.
All right. And for those of you guys, Joeseph, you said, hey, I'm not going to meet him. Joeseph is literally in the Portland airport right now with an 8-hour layover, recording the podcast with us. So this is fresh off the hot presses there.
Yeah.
So, what I would love for you to do is tell me one of the stories of just a great time that you had with Fezco and how he really mentored you in the fly fishing side of that and what you really kind of took away from it. But before you do that, I want to take a quick break and recognize our sponsors. Angler's Coffee. We love fueling your next cast. We've been roasting coffee before coffee was cool. www.anglerscoffee.com. Dupafish. Coming soon. Pre-register now and get notified. www.dupafish, that's D-U-P-E, fish.com. And Togen's Fly Shop, a family-owned business for all your fly tying needs. That's Togen's Fly Shop, T-O-G-E-N-S, flyshop.com. Welcome back to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. We have our guest today, Joeseph Zaragoza. Joeseph Zaragoza is owner and operator of Salt Junkies, Inc. in partnership with his partner Toby of Magbay Lures and Magbay Lodge. All of those can be found on Instagram at Salt Junkies, Inc. or at Magbay Lures or at Magbay Lodge. You can also find them at www.saltjunkiesinc.com. Joeseph, before we took the break, I asked you to tell me a little bit about one of your fly fishing mentors, and that's Fezco, otherwise known on Instagram as To The Gills.
Yeah, To The Gills. TOTHEGILL. Oh, no. Yeah, yep. GILLZ.
S.
Just like that.
It's S, I think it is. I'm looking at it right now. Yep. Okay. So tell us a little bit about, how you guys, maybe one of the stories of you two fishing together and, what you took from that.
Well, one particular time stands out, like, because we took a older gentleman out, right? He's a owner of a fly distribution company, and he would come down to the lodge, which is Magbay Lodge, right? The one that we work out of too. Mm-hmm. And he's a good customer, good client, and we tell him about the rooster fish, right? And he almost wouldn't believe us, like, no, they got the East Cape for that and this and that, which is the east side of the Sea Cortez, mm-hmm. Opposing side of Magbay. And I said, okay, well, take it how you want with a grain of salt, whatever. I'm telling you, well, one day it got real slow, right? Like really, really slow, where the marlin disappeared, which we'd never had happen before. And it was weird. In the area, we have guys who do dive trips, right? If you were to type in the hashtag Magbay, you would see like over thousands of pictures of people diving in the water with this marlin, right? And fascinating pictures. It'd blow your mind to see the amount of bait in the water, the amount of marlin that are on these bay balls. Wow. But so it was dead, right? Like nothing around, and they were just like burned out on just going out there for nothing. So I said, hey, why don't we? Oh shit, we'll have to erase his name. But hey, buddy, why don't we go looking for rooster fish? Let us take you to go rooster fish. And Jeff was there with me. So he says, all right, I'll take you guys up on your offer. Let's go look for some rooster fish. And we get down to the area. This is like there's a sandy beach at the end of there's 3 islands, right? Well, actually, essentially 2 islands. Magdalena being the main island, and then you got Margarita, Isla Margarita on the south end. Okay. And there's a small isle, little sand spit, and we head down there, and the roosters like the sandy beaches. Mm-hmm. So we get down there. Yeah, we same program. We've been teasing these fish with the jerk baits and these Ranger lures, and we've been casting to them. And when we see them breaking on bait, and they're there. You know, they're hanging out. Nobody's bothering them, right? Because mind you, there's not a whole lot of fishing operations in Magbay itself.
Right.
I mean, there's about three other outfits, and mostly everybody else is pangueros. And unless they're commercial fishing, they're not really fishing on their own. You know, they're not wasting their money to go,
right,
recreational. It's not the same as
sustenance fishing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let me ask you this: when you get there, are you guys still fishing from the boat, or have you got out? Are you waiting, or are you fishing from the surf? How are you targeting these fish at this point?
Well, both. Our little program is cool because we get off and have lunch and have some beers on the beach and go cast off the beach too.
Uh-huh. That sounds like a plan to me. Party's on right now.
Yeah, we're just hanging out, having a good ass time, and what we are targeting from the boat as well, right? And this particular day, the surf started pumping a little bit early on. So I told, like, we were talking, me and Jeff talking about, like, oh shit, let's go down to this other part before it gets too big, because this area is like in the middle is like 30 foot deep, so it pumps off pretty big waves.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's go down over there where the rocks are at, and see what's down there, right? But by this time it was already at 14 foot waves hitting the beach. So I was like, man,
that's big water, man. That's scary
big water,
in a panga.
Yeah. I mean, we're off the break because you can see more or less where the water starts forming at, where the waves start forming at.
But even then, you've got decent swell, and you get in that inside of that surf, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, luckily, like our captains are pretty well trained on what to go in and what not to go in. So we're pointing the boat, the position it right to where if we had it, we got to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Jeff, I said, let's get busy, So we start throwing those Rangers. And we take the hooks off them, right? So it's just a surface plug, and just to get their attention, right?
Okay.
And
you're teasing them up. This is the bait and switch.
Yeah, we're teasing them up. We're teasing them up again.
Okay.
So in this time though, I mean, on that 14-foot swell on the back face of it, we got them Rangers, and me and Jeff were just reeling for our lives, right? Because we get them fast, on a spinning rod, just turning and burning, and no, I was like, I look into the wave, and Jeff looks, he's like, holy shit, there was like two big guys. They're like 80 pounds, man.
Oh my gosh.
And we're watching these things come, and we're telling the guy, cast, make your cast, get ready. And shoot, man, he threw, we call it, well, I don't think I can say that, but anyhow.
You can say it. It's okay.
He blew his load too early is what happened. Uh-huh. and just fly line all over the place. I was like, God damn it. And we had these things come all the way towards the boat, and I was like, Jeff, if that would have been you or me casting, we probably would have hooked one of them, because they were hot, right? They're combing and everything. They're fired up, and they're chasing those damn lures, and I was like, oh man, breaks my heart. But
that's tough.
But it's just like, that's just part of the game, right? I mean, that's
saltwater fishing. Well, fishing in general, but that's really saltwater fishing.
Yeah.
So when these fish are in the surf, right? What are they doing? They're cruising the surf. Are they cruising the surf and diving into the shallows or diving into the deep? Why are they doing that?
No. So they come. I mean, it's kind of weird because another time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was on conventional gear. I was on a gear charter, and there's like a wreck out there too on one of the corners on the points of the island, and it's pretty deep. I mean, we were jigging. We had customers jigging and dropping baits to the bottom at like 120 feet deep, right?
Okay.
And at the time, I'm just like, I had everybody in the water. I just have a surface iron rod, 9-foot rod with the plug on it, and I'm casting out, and I see them come out of nowhere, dude. So this wreck is like I said, 100 feet, 90 to 100 feet deep.
Okay.
So I don't know what this activity is, because I caught one there, and the customers caught some there, and then but that's like, that's deep. So then we move over to the shallows, and they're there too. They're combing the beach there usually for what we call lisas, which is a mullet.
Okay. So they're on some type of bait, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
because I've always
there's
seen them
mackerel out there.
Yeah, and I've always seen them in the surf. And you hear a lot of people just, walking the beach and surf casting, or taking 4-wheelers and surf casting. And I know that's just a common area they hang out. I was curious, if there were some specifics around that.
Yeah, no. So I wish I had all year long to sit there and study them.
Yeah.
But Jeff, that's the cool thing about Jeff. He goes down there and he'll camp out on that beach and he'll watch them.
Yep.
And he hangs out. He does a lot more of that than I do, because I had, I'm like I said, I run the lodge too, or likewise manage it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there attending the customers, and then when we have trips, then I'll get out there and meet up with him, or I'll bring him on board. However, but
well, Jeff sounds like a fishy guy. We're gonna have to get him on the
he
on the
is,
show.
man. That's how, like I said, that's how we got together. Because I was doing showing him stuff on gear, and likewise he was showing me on the fly. So
yeah.
It went. We make a damn good team.
Yeah. It sounds like very complimentary. Always need that in business. So let's talk a little bit about the bay and how you approach the bay. You had described it earlier. You said it's a relatively large size bay. Let's see if I took some good notes here, but there's a main channel in the bay. It's relatively shallow outside of the channel, and then you've talked about a few islands and some structure, etc. When you guys are going out, let's get some understanding of how you're looking at the bay and how you're fishing in that general area.
Well, we're looking at the tides for one, right? Because you got your incoming tide, outgoing tide, and like I told you, it's a 20-foot influx, or 15-foot around there, and that the mangrove system there starts pushing up like 8 knots, 9 knots, fast. Water starts moving fast. So you kind of got to catch it and time it right, or else you'll just be trolling flies, I guess.
Yep.
You'd say. So it makes it difficult, man. It's like we're really watching all that stuff. But as far as the approach, sometimes we're greeted to pargo, which is like dog tooth snapper, eating them, busting bait on the surface too. And there's snook in those mangroves. There's grouper in those mangroves, and it's pretty wild. It gets pretty wild in there.
And then the channel, are you fishing along the edge of the channel as well? Bigger fish coming up out of the channel, or is that not a target?
No, we didn't spend too much time on the channel. We go it's hard because everybody right away wants to go marlin. We get once in a great while, we'll get those customers that are like, I want to do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
let's do this.
Those are the best customers,
because then,
right?
Then we get a chance to look around and poke our heads where we usually don't poke them at, and we sometimes those are the trips that we get rewarded the most on.
Yeah.
So it's a blast in that sense, and then but we have just as much fun going and chasing marlin all day too.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of the pressure's off too when you're like, hey, we can kind of go do our own thing, because you can bop around and change the plan as you go, and really play to the tune of the water and the fish versus your own personal agenda, which can be difficult at times. Yeah. So when you get in the boat, let's talk rigs. Let's talk about your fly fishing rigs. How are you kind of set up for the day? Do you have multiple rods ready to go for different species, or what kind of size rods are you typically using, and weight eyes, what kind of lines, that stuff?
Yeah, so our 8-weight setup would be like a Hatch 7+, right? Mm-hmm. And we're putting that what is scientific angler is sonar Titan? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a sinking line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like an intermediate line.
Mm-hmm.
For the streamers and 10-weight rods as well. The rods that I use are red truck fly fish. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yep.
But they're cool. They're out of Northern California. The owner is, at least, and I fish with him when I can, and we talk a lot. We got a good relationship, and for the marlin, we're using the 12 weights. Yep. So 11 plus hatch.
You're using 500 floating line on that?
So we have a setup with a floating line, intermediate line, and a sinking line at 500 grains.
Okay. So
So
you're fishing all the different columns.
yeah, so we do, with the floating line, we thrown our poppers with that one,
Okay.
and then the other ones are streamers as well.
You throwing like
They're
big
like six
Galicias,
to
or you
eight
throwing like
inch.
squids or something?
No, we're deceivers,
Deceivers. Okay.
big deceivers, bait fish patterns,
Mm-hmm.
mimicking the color of the sardina that's in the water, the like anchovy color,
Mm-hmm.
or the black and silver, typical black and silvers, blue and white, and what else? Like
Purple and
green and white,
black. You do
green
purple
and
and
white, like
black.
mackerel. Yeah, we do pretty damn good on the blue and white, so we tend to fish that. I mean,
Yeah.
but we got other flies in our boxes, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much our go-to one.
Okay.
And then yeah, so yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff. We carry a lot of stuff though too.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure.
we're always overloaded for the right occasion.
Yeah.
I'd rather be having too much and too little. That's one
Well,
thing that.
salt junkies, gear junkies, we're all the same, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some pretty good waters there. It sounds amazing. I am just pumped to kind of get down there and check it out. It sounds like you've got your toes in the water on some freshwater stuff as well, chasing trout, and maybe more and more of that to come in your near future. We'd love to have you come out here and visit me here in Park City and do a Utah tour, get you on some nice fish.
Yeah, if you take me back to the Weaver River.
Yeah, you got it, man. We'll go do some mousing and having
That
some
was fun, man.
Yeah.
That was a fun place.
It's a cool zone. We've got some pretty good fishing here. What I would love you to do is break down your favorite setup to go out with in the saltwater in your area in detail. But before we do that, let's take a last quick break to recognize our sponsors, and then we'll be right back, and we'll listen to your tips and tricks on how to rig up for the salt in and around the Magbay area. Thanks. Angler's Coffee. We love fueling your next cast. We've been roasting coffee before coffee was cool. www.anglerscoffee.com. Dupafish. Coming soon. Pre-register now and get notified. www.dupafish, that's D-U-P-E, fish.com. And Togen's Fly Shop, a family-owned business for all your fly tying needs. That's Togen's Fly Shop, T-O-G-E-N-S, flyshop.com. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Fly Fishing Insider Podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you've enjoyed the show, rate it. Let us know how we're doing. You can always provide feedback to the show, too, by DMing me on Instagram or going to the website, sending me an email. I'd love to hear feedback, and if there's someone in particular you're looking to get on the show, we would love that as well. We are going to wrap up the show here today with Joeseph Zaragoza of Salt Junkies, Inc., Magbay Lures, and Magbay Lodge. He's a great guy, friend that I met, again, through social media. We've been planning to get out and do some fishing, and I cannot wait to get down to the Magbay area and fish with you, my man. It just sounds incredible. So before we took the break, I asked you to break down, your kind of favorite setup for that area. If you had one rod and setup to take out, what would it be? And if you can just break that down in as much detail as possible, that'd be fantastic.
All right, cool. So, like I said before, we were using the red truck fly fishing rods, and ultimately it'd be like the one that I would take, wherever I was at, it'd be a 10 weight. I would take my chances with any battle given to me. But it would be, loaded with that Sonar Titan Tropical Clear.
Okay,
line.
So that intermediate line. Okay.
Yep. And a 9+ reel, a Hatch 9+ reel.
Okay.
And that would be my preferred setup for stuff out there.
Yeah. What kind of leader are you typically throwing on that?
40 to 60 pound leader, a short section of 40, like I want to say about 4 to 5 feet.
Okay.
And then we do another friend of mine showed me this little double bimini twist setup for the in between section to work as like a shock.
I was going to say
leader,
shock leader. Yeah.
Yeah. And that guy, that's another mentor, I guess you could call him, because he showed me a lot, and and he's honestly the first one who took a chance to fly fish with me in Magbay.
Okay, and who is this? Let's hear a little
This-
bit. Tell me a
this
story
is
about this guy. Sounds cool.
This guy called me, and that's the one I told you that when I would tell him that you could strip up, because he asked, he said, hey, you think we could get one off a bait ball, like by stripping? I said, yeah, of course. I said, I'd throw irons at them, jigs at them, and they chase them all the way to the boat. So I know damn well they'll eat a fly, doing that. So he wanted to book a couple of days with me, and he did. His name is Theo Annis, and he's actually the rep for Scott Ross and Abel Reels.
Okay. Yeah, I've
he's
heard
out
that
in,
name before.
Yeah, he's out in Colorado, and his family owns a place over there on the East Cape as well, where he's doing the rooster fishing.
Okay.
A lot of rooster fishing, actually.
And when you're pulling these fish off the bait balls and you're stripping back, are you like a tuck and tarpon strip, or are you just kind of doing more of a standard strip? Kind of give us some ideas on those.
Double-handed strip.
Okay.
Yep.
Fast as you can.
And
Zip.
as fast as you can. And but then again, like I told you, we fish poppers too, so it's like pop, stop.
Yeah.
Pop, stop, and they're blowing up on the damn popper. So,
okay.
I mean, there's not really any particular science to it. When you're stripping fast, you got to strip fast.
Yep.
They say, what am I doing wrong? Strip faster, strip faster. We're yelling at them, strip faster.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the popper is just let that thing do its job.
Yeah.
The more noise you make is the more attractive it's going to be.
All right. That disturbance really kind of gets those juices flowing, and it's competitive eating at that point too. Typically,
it is, and like I told you,
they're all charged up and just going after.
Yeah, and there's, like I told you, there's 12, 15 fish at a time. So yeah, it really is competitive. You'll get ones that come and turn away, and the one come pop out of nowhere right up from underneath of it. Just some blow it up. It's wild, man. It's wild.
It's got.
I wish we could show a video over there, but
it's got to be a pretty visual occasion as well. I mean, it sounds like you can see these things just coming at it and even chomping. Water's pretty clear.
Yeah, the water's clear, a beautiful blue. Like, oh man, there again, you got to see it for yourself.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Well, again, Joeseph, I appreciate you getting on the show today and sharing with us the experience that you have down there in Magbay. It just sounds incredible. I'm excited to come down, fish with you, learn as much as I can from you and the guide service, et cetera. And then hopefully some of our listeners give you a call, check it out, and come down and visit as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, if you guys haven't followed our page, give us a follow, and as well as my friends that I mentioned, Jeffrey Fesco, Theo Annis. I think he's at his name is his Instagram profile as well, at Theo Annis. And our other pages as well, Magbay Lodge, Magbay Lures. Maybe who knows? You might need a couple marlin lures for teasers.
That's right. Yep.
And if you ever find yourself offshore in another country or somewhere else too, don't be afraid. Give me a holler, and I'm one of the salesmen, so
okay.
I can help you out.
That's fantastic. We've got a lot of conventional guys that are starting to get more and more interested. And as you mentioned, there's a place for conventional gear in fly fishing as well, especially in the saltwater game.
Yeah.
And you can learn a ton, too, from conventional fishing. So, again, Joeseph, thanks so much for joining us today. You had some great stories. I'm looking forward to meeting up with you. And, again, everyone, thanks for our support. Support our sponsors, support our guests, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you.
Thank you.